What's going on, YouTube? Devin D coming back at you with another video. And I wanted to talk about, once again, I want to talk about no porn. As you guys know on my channel, if you go back, I've talked about no fap before. I've talked about no porn, semen retention. But I really think no porn is the most important aspect of conquering your sexual deviance, I guess you could say. Porn is just, it's probably the most open, but at the same time one of the most dangerous addictions you could have. But like I said, everybody's super comfortable about talking about it. When you go to these Twitter pages that post porn scenes and porn gifs, they have millions of followers. You get on Reddit, you search certain porn pages that post pornographic material, hundreds of thousands of followers, some millions of followers. Everybody talks about porn. Everybody makes jokes about it. And it's just something that's just widely accepted among the masses, but people don't understand how dangerous porn can be, especially for young men. Especially for young men, because if most people like myself, you start watching porn and masturbating at a very young age. I know me personally, I actually, the first time I watched porn was around 8. Actually, I remember my father he installed like some cheap satellite thing that allowed us to pick up all the channels. Horrible signal, horrible broadcasting, but it did give you all the channels. So I remember when neither one of them were home, I would go, or maybe they were upstairs asleep, whatever. I would go on the Playboy channels, the Hustler channels, and a couple more. I think real. There's one called Real TV or Real Stars or something like that, and I would look at the porn and Reality Kings, I think that's what it's called. But anyway, I would look at the porn. So at 8 years old, I started looking at porn, and that didn't last too long. And then later on, when I was about 12, that's when I started looking at porn and masturbating. And that cycle continued on until the point I was about 18 years old. Like I said, if you guys want more in depth about my FAP journey, if you will, just go look at some of my older videos. But porn at a young age, 12, 13, 14, even under 25, it warps your mind, man. It warps your mind. It's so dangerous, and it's just so unrealistic that it just puts these expectations in your brain that can never be met by real life interactions. So that's why you see so many young men nowadays who they just can't perform when they're with a woman, because their brain is so accustomed to looking at exactly what you want to look at, looking at the most taboo of taboo. Some people watch incest, some people watch bondage, transsexuals, whatever your little fetishes are. You can't actually um, get all of that in real life. I'll give you a perfect example, man. When I was in high school, and I'm still this way with real women, but I would go through phases. One week I might be more in the mood for a chocolate girl, a dark skinned girl. So I could look up different porn stars that fit the image that I was thinking about, that I was fantasizing about. Next week I might be into Asian girls. Next week white girls. Next week light skinned girls, thick, skinny, short, tall, whatever. And just at the tip of your fingertips, you can get whatever your heart desires, just like that. And you can watch it for hours and hours and hours, and you can be as meticulous as possible. You can just get down to the nitty gritty and search exactly what you want to see. Real life isn't like that, man. It's just not. When you get with the woman, everything isn't going to be perfect. You can't talk to her the same way. You can't act the same. It puts all these unrealistic expectations in your brain from a young mind when your mind is still developing. That's why we have, I've actually seen some studies that men under the age of 30 in today's times have higher ED than men in their 60s did in yesteryears, even with all the smoking, even with all the drinking. And that's because of porn, especially porn in excess. I actually saw a study before, and it said that porn has the same effects on the brain as crack cocaine and or heroin and morphine. So, it's obviously very addicting, man. It's something that you need to conquer, and you need to understand that it's not normal. You see all these different outlets, they talk about how watching porn and masturbating is normal. It's not. It's not, man. And if you want to be successful, you want to just completely conquer your addiction, starting off with porn is the very first step. Of course, I'm a big advocate of NOFAP. I believe in semen retention, but all of that will be in whatever, man, futility. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I'm exhausted. But anyway, all of that will be in futility if you don't actually take the time to rectify your porn addiction, point blank, period. And let me just give you guys another tip, man. If you're trying to do NOFAP, there is no possible way that you can get away with peeking and edging at porn. There is no possible way you can get away with it. You might make it a day, you might make it 2 days, you might make it a week, you might make it a month, but eventually you are going to slip up if you're playing with porn. You're playing with fire when you do that, man. If you watch porn, you are going to slip up and you're going to relapse. Point blank, period. And like I said, you can't have your cake and eat it too with NOFAP. Either you do it all the way or you don't do it at all. There's no point of doing NOFAP if you're only taking out the orgasm part of the PMO, porn, masturbation, orgasm. You need to take the time to get rid of the porn, then get rid of masturbation, then stop orgasming if you want to take it that far. But you can't be looking at porn and edging 2-3 hours a day and think everything's fine. In fact, edging has actually been seen by medical professionals to actually be more dangerous for your mental health than any other form of PMO, simply because, at least when you PMO, you get that release. Even if you do edge for 2-3 hours, you get to release at the end. You get to flush out those heightened dopamine levels back to normal levels, so to speak. But when you edge, you're constantly in a heightened state of dopamine. You're constantly in a heightened state of dopamine retention. So you're just constantly filling your brain up with this dopamine for days and days and days, maybe even weeks, and you never get a chance to actually flush it out. So edging is one of the most dangerous things you can do, man. So I know I was kind of bouncing back and forth on this. Like I said, I do have some more videos that go a little bit more in depth on the topic, but you got to get rid of that porn, man. For all you younger people out there, really anybody, but especially all of you who are under the age of 30, you need to cut out porn completely. You need to cut it out completely. Porn is no good for you. It's not good for your brain. And at the end of the day, when you think about porn, if nothing else deters you from watching porn, think about this for a second. When you search porn, 95% of the time, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but 95% of the time, what do you search? A man and a woman having some sort of sexual interaction, right? Now think about what that does for your brain. Genetically, we have been programmed, whether or not you believe in evolution, you believe in God, or some higher powers, plural, whatever you believe in, we have come to be with the predisposed genetic programming to be, I'm talking about men, to be, hunters of women. We conquer women. We go out, we find a woman that we're attracted to, and we have sex with her, right? Well, when you watch porn, you're actually watching another woman and another man have sex, and you're getting off to it. For all you guys talking about being an alpha male, think about how beta, I don't even like using those terms, but think of how beta and blue pill that is. You're getting horny, so you watch another man and another woman have sex. Come on, guys. Porn is the devil in disguise, man. We got to get rid of this. So, like I said, if you're more interested in hearing me talk about these different topics, make sure you go back on my channel. I have some very in-depth stories and my experiences and everything like that, and more videos to come soon. I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.